Narmer and the unification of Egypt. How a long process created the kingdom of the two lands. Before we begin, two date clues matter. The letter C with a period means circa, or around. Ancient dates are estimates. BCE years count backward toward year 1, so 5500 BCE is earlier than 3100 BCE, and 3100 BCE is earlier than 2686 BCE. Here is the lesson's central idea. Egypt did not suddenly appear after one fight. Many communities became larger cultural and political networks over centuries. Narmer stands near the climax of that process, and later rulers turned the new union into a durable state. The Nile is the key to Egypt's map. It flows from south to north and empties into the Mediterranean Sea. That direction explains why the names Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt seem backward on a modern north-up map. Upper Egypt was in the south because it was upstream, closer to the river's higher course. Much of it was a narrow green valley bordered by desert. Remember, Upper describes the river's elevation and direction, not the top of a map. Lower Egypt was in the north because it was downstream. There the Nile split into branches before reaching the Mediterranean, forming the wide, fertile delta. Lower means lower along the river, not lower on a page. The two regions had different landscapes. The southern valley squeezed settlements into a long corridor beside one river. The northern delta opened into many channels and broad farmland. Those differences shaped travel, local power, food production, and regional identity. Royal symbols made geography visible. The tall white crown represented Upper Egypt. The red crown represented Lower Egypt. Later rulers combined them as the double crown, a powerful sign that one king claimed authority over both lands. Avoid the oversimple story that two neat, finished kingdoms existed first and then fought one final battle. A better analogy is many school districts. Communities might share styles, trade, merge, make agreements, copy successful neighbors, or be forced under stronger leaders before a larger system takes shape. Historians call roughly 5500 to 3100 BCE the pre-dynastic period. Pre-dynastic means before the numbered dynasties. Across these centuries, farming communities grew, crafts and trade expanded, social differences sharpened, and some towns became powerful regional centers. Early Egypt was a patchwork of communities, not an empty space waiting for a king. Local leaders controlled different places. Their relationships changed over time through trade, migration, marriage, agreements, imitation, competition, and warfare. The Nile did more than water crops. It was Egypt's main highway. Boats could carry far more than people walking through desert. The river linked distant settlements, helping rulers exchange goods, send officials, spread ideas, and eventually project power over a long country. Egyptian communities also looked outward. Trade routes connected them with Nubia to the south, desert regions to the east and west, Sinai to the northeast, and the southern Levant beyond Sinai. Goods and ideas moved through these networks long before political unification was complete. Nekhin, called Hierakonpolis by the Greeks, was one of the strongest centers in southern Upper Egypt. Archaeology reveals elite activity, religious importance, specialized crafts, and early royal symbols. The Narmer Palette would later be discovered there. Naqada was another important Upper Egyptian center. Archaeologists use the name Naqada for major phases of pre-dynastic material culture, especially changing pottery, burials, symbols, and trade. These shared patterns help us trace growing connections across regions. Abydos was a major sacred and royal center in Upper Egypt, with cemeteries used by late pre-dynastic and First Dynasty rulers. Ancient writers also linked the early dynasty with nearby Thinis, although the exact city site is uncertain. This southern region remained central to kingship. During Naqada III, the final pre-dynastic phase, Upper Egyptian styles and institutions spread widely through the Nile Valley and into the Delta. Archaeology shows stronger cultural connections, but shared objects do not automatically tell us who commanded whom. No single mechanism explains every site. Traders carried goods, families migrated or married across communities, leaders made agreements, neighbors imitated useful or prestigious customs. Stronger rulers also used force. Cultural spread and political conquest can overlap without being identical. Egyptologists sometimes call the latest pre-dynastic rulers Dynasty 0. Ancient Egyptians did not use that label. It is a modern organizing tool for kings whose names appear before the First Dynasty, while evidence about their exact order, relationships, and reach remains incomplete. Ieri, Hor, and Ka are among the rulers placed before Narmer. Their names appear on objects and in tomb contexts, especially at Abydos. They show that royal institutions were developing before Narmer, but scholars still debate how much territory each controlled. Artifacts show a scorpion sign connected with late pre-dynastic rulership, leading to names such as Scorpion I or Scorpion II. But the evidence is fragmentary. We should not turn a striking symbol into a confident biography or assume every scorpion image names the same king. Narmer lived around 3100 BCE. Many Egyptologists place him as the first king of the First Dynasty. Others put him at the very end of Dynasty 0. The label changes, but his historical position does not. He belongs at the threshold of the dynastic state. Objects bearing Narmer's name have been found in Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt, and the southern Levant. That wide distribution matters, but caution is essential. An inscribed object can travel through trade, exchange, storage, or officials. It does not prove Narmer directly governed every discovery site. Narmer's name is written with two picture signs, a catfish and a chisel. Egyptologists conventionally read them together as Narmer. Early writing was developing alongside government, and royal names were especially important marks of authority and ownership. Narmer's name often sits inside a serek, a rectangular sign representing the palace facade. A falcon of Horus stands above it. This linked the living king with Horus and presented kingship as a sacred office, not merely one strong person's nickname. Much later king lists and writers named Menes as Egypt's first ruler. Menes might be Narmer, might be Narmer's successor Aha, or might be a traditional founder name. The careful conclusion is that Narmer has strong contemporary evidence, while Menes belongs to later tradition and uncertain identification. During excavations at Nekhen in 1897 and 1898, archaeologists James Quibel and Frederick Green found the Narmer Palette in a temple deposit. Its archaeological context is not perfectly recorded by modern standards, but the object quickly became a central source for early kingship. Small palettes could grind pigments for cosmetics. The Narmer palette copies that familiar shape, including a circular grinding area, but it is much too large and elaborate for ordinary use. It was ceremonial, probably dedicated in a sacred setting to display royal power. Both sides are divided into horizontal zones called registers. Narmer appears larger than most other people, a convention called hierarchical scale. Greater size means greater importance. Repeated royal signs, crowns, attendants, standards, animals, and defeated enemies build one message of controlled kingship. On the side often called the reverse, Narmer wears the white crown of Upper Egypt. He grips a kneeling captive and raises a mace in the classic smiting pose. The image declares victory and the king's power to defeat enemies and restore order. Behind Narmer is a smaller official carrying the king's sandals. Narmer himself appears barefoot. Bare feet may indicate sacred ritual space, while the sandal bearer's smaller scale shows rank. This quiet detail presents the action as formal royal ceremony, not a casual fight. Above the captive, the Horus falcon controls a human-headed form rising from papyrus plants. Papyrus is often connected with the northern delta, and the number of stalks may suggest captured territory or people. The exact reading is debated, but Horus clearly supports Narmer's dominance. On the side often called the obverse, Narmer wears the red crown of Lower Egypt. He moves in procession toward rows of decapitated enemies. The crown change connects him with the north, while the ordered scene presents victory as controlled state power. Figures carrying standards lead the procession. Standards could represent royal followers, divine powers, or important communities. Whatever their exact identities, the organized group matters. Narmer's power is shown through offices, symbols, attendance, and ceremony, not only through his raised weapon. At the center, two long-necked animals twist together while handlers hold ropes. Modern scholars sometimes call them serpopards, but their exact meaning is uncertain. Their controlled, intertwined necks may suggest order, balance, union, or simply a powerful artistic motif. We should not pretend one interpretation is proven. At the bottom, a bull smashes into a fortified enclosure and crushes a fallen figure. The bull represents the king's overwhelming strength. Like the smiting scene, it turns political violence into a visual claim that royal power defeats resistance. The palette is extraordinary evidence, but it is also propaganda, persuasive royal art. It tells us how Narmer's court presented kingship, victorious, sacred, ordered, and connected with both lands. It does not provide dates, troop movements, or an unbiased account of one battle. Separate levels of confidence. Known, the palette names Narmer and shows both crowns. Likely, it celebrates victories and authority across Upper and Lower Egypt. Uncertain, whether one scene records one event where it happened, and whether every symbol has one fixed meaning. Imagine a zipper closing. Trade, shared culture, marriage, agreements, migration, and force join different sections over time. Narmer may be like the pull near the top that makes the joined line visible, but the zipper's many teeth and the rulers after him also made unity possible. Unification had several layers. Culture made distant communities more alike. Agreements and elite relationships built cooperation. Warfare forced some rivals to submit. Government then made the union durable through officials, records, resource collection, travel, and repeated royal traditions. The usual first dynasty sequence is Narmer, Aha, Jur, Jet, Mernith, Den, Ainjib, Semerkit, and Ka. Dates and some family links remain debated, but the sequence shows continuity. Unification was carried forward by generations, not completed by Narmer alone. Narmer's early successors Aha, Jur, and Jet left names and material evidence connected with places in Upper and Lower Egypt. Individual finds require caution, but together they show rulers repeatedly maintaining relationships, estates, cults, officials, and authority across the long kingdom. Mernith received an unusually important tomb and royal commemoration at Abydos. Many historians think she acted as regent when Den was young. Some describe her as a ruler in her own right. Her exact title and powers are uncertain, so both her importance and the limits of our evidence should be clear. An ivory label shows King Den wearing the double crown while performing a royal victory pose. That does not mean the idea began with him, but it gives strong early evidence that the combined crown had become part of the visual language of ruling both lands. A state survives through repeated work. Officials managed estates and labor. Early writing labeled goods, names, places, and deliveries. Cylinder seals secured containers and offices. Records tracked resources. Nile boats moved grain, stone, people, and messages. Government turned a royal claim into everyday control. Abydos in Upper Egypt remained the burial place of First Dynasty kings and a center of royal memory. Memphis, near the meeting zone of Valley and Delta, became crucial for administration and access to both regions. Tradition credits Menes with founding it, but the city's exact beginnings are uncertain. Egypt stayed diverse. Valley and Delta landscapes differed. Local gods and customs remained important, and communities kept regional identities. Royal titles spoke of the two lands because unity meant joining differences under one kingship, not making every place identical. Second Dynasty evidence is patchier. King Peribsen replaced the usual Horus falcon above his Serek with the god Seth. Scholars have proposed political division or religious conflict, but one royal name choice cannot prove a religious war. The honest label is uncertain. Near the dynasty's end, Khosikhemwy used both Horus and Seth above his Serek. His name can be connected with the two powers appearing in peace. This may celebrate reconciliation or restored unity after conflict, but the surviving evidence does not let us reconstruct a simple, certain story. Soon after, in the Third Dynasty, Djoser built the step pyramid complex at Saqqara. Its stone construction required planners, skilled workers, food supplies, quarries, transport, and central authority. The monument shows the state capacity built on centuries of unification and administration. Lock the timeline in order. Around 5500 BCE, the pre-dynastic span begins. By about 3300 BCE, Naqada III connection spread widely. Around 3100 BCE, Narmer stands at the Dynasty I threshold. Around 2686 BCE, the Old Kingdom begins. Remember, BCE numbers get smaller as time moves forward. Memory lock. The Nile explains Upper and Lower Egypt. Pre-dynastic communities became connected through many mechanisms. Narmer around 3100 BCE claimed both lands, and the palette is persuasive royal evidence rather than a photograph. First Dynasty rulers and administration kept unity working. Later uncertainty must stay labeled uncertain. Why was Upper Egypt south while Lower Egypt was north? Answer: Upper meant upstream in the southern Nile Valley. Lower meant downstream in the northern delta. Why is the two finished kingdoms, one battle story too simple? Answer: Egypt grew from many communities through culture, trade, migration, marriage, agreements, imitation, and warfare over centuries. What do the white, red, and double crowns represent? Answer: white means Upper Egypt, red means Lower Egypt, and the double crown claims both lands. What details identify Narmer's name and kingship? Answer: the catfish and chisel name appears in a palace-shaped Serek, topped by the Horus falcon. What can the Narmer Palette tell us, and what can it not prove? Answer: it supports a royal claim to victory in both lands, but it cannot prove one exact battle created Egypt overnight. Name the first dynasty sequence after Narmer. Answer: Ahajur, Jet, Mernith, Den, Angib, Semerkit, and Ka. How did administration keep Egypt united? Answer: officials, writing, cylinder seals, resource records, and Nile boats turned royal claims into everyday government. State the lesson's central idea. Answer: Narmer stood near the climax of a long unification process. Later rulers and institutions made the two lands a durable state.